Steele reads Karma, a yogi's guide to crafting your destiny. A book by Sadhguru.
When we say our life is our karma, it means that our life is of our making. What incredible freedom this spells. And yet, what devious ways we have found to absolve ourselves of that responsibility. In most cultures of the world, people have been told that God determines the course of their life. They must therefore look up to God. But in the East, we said, there is nothing to look up to. In a round planet that is spinning, what is up anyway? Your karma was created by you, and it is knowingly or unknowingly being created by you. Every moment of your life. Karma is therefore an invitation to look within, not upward. Once you understand that you are 100% responsible for your life, you will naturally choose to live consciously rather than unconsciously.
Join me in my journey for truth, in existence, and in destiny. Let us begin where every journey begins, with karma. What is it, really? And why is it important to understand? What role does it have to play in our existence and in the crafting of our destiny? The answer not only might, but should hit you like a ton of bricks, each engraved with the word, "No shit." An answer claimed to be harbored by the yogis and mystics of the East. I am on a quest to unfold the truth about everything. If you are a seeker of truth, follow me. And let's find it together.
To all seekers, the inner journey through an uncharted landscape can be fraught with contradictions of thought, emotion, experience, and action. This book strives to lift the haze of these contradictions in the minds and hearts of all seekers of truth. Unraveling Karma, an introduction. It happened. On a certain day, Shankaran Pillai purchased a boat, a 50-foot ultra-luxurious yacht for $10 million. He decided to take his new Puerto Rican bride out on the ocean for a romantic cruise. On the way, misfortune struck. The yacht hit a rock and was stuck. As the brand new yacht sank into the ocean, Shankaran Pillai and his wife managed to extricate themselves. They swam for their lives and finally made their way to the shores of a nearby islet, a sandy sliver of land floating in the middle of nowhere, completely devoid of vegetation. Shankaran Pillai and his wife had a few tins of canned food. They knew these would last them only a couple of days. They were in a fix. Unperturbed, Shankaran Pillai settled down in a yogic posture and assumed a serenely spiritual expression. His wife, however, was of a more volatile disposition. "We're marooned," she wept. "There's no human habitation in sight, no sign of any life here, no animals, no plants, nothing. What will we live on? How will we get out? What a terrible end to our dreams of marital bliss. What a terrible end to our lives." Shankaran Pillai continued to sit in his yogic posture, unruffled. His wife was bewildered. "How can you sit like this? Don't you realize we're doomed? Can't you see we're going to die?" Shankaran Pillai looked at her with calm compassion. "My dear, don't distress yourself," he said. "What I did not tell you before our wedding is that I have a history. I had previously availed myself of a student loan when I was studying in Tennessee. After my studies, I went to New York without repaying the loan. I was caught by my creditors 3 months later, but I managed to elude them and went away to California, where I got myself a car. Since I got myself a car loan, I said, why settle for a small car? I decided..." "Oh, hey, little guy. Please don't try any funny business. You're welcome to hang out, as long as you don't." There you go. Oh, I think you're up to some funny business. Hi there. Off you go. "Since I got myself a car loan, I said, why settle for a small car? I decided to get myself a Rolls Royce with pure gold trimmings, and I took a $2 million loan to purchase the vehicle. Since I thought life would be somewhat difficult for me there, I took the car to Oregon. But they followed me there too. After that episode, I took a home loan for $5 million. I then happened to go to Mexico, but they followed me there 6 months later. After that, as you know, I married you and bought this yacht in Texas for $10 million. I haven't paid the first installment yet. So don't worry, stay calm, don't panic. They'll find us. They always do. Shankaran Pillai's faith that he would be found, or more accurately, his realization that he could never escape his creditors, is a phenomenon that the rest of the world knows by another name: karma, the inescapable basis of our lives. The mechanism that decrees that we cannot evade the consequences of our own actions. The cycle that appears to follow us grimly and inexorably wherever we go. Although the word is Indian in origin, karma is now a term that has invaded every dictionary. It is not merely the stuff of metaphysical tomes and academic treatises. It is instead a term that has pervaded lexicons across the world, from the esoteric to the pop. How did this Sanskrit term enter every single language in the world? How do we account for its extraordinary popularity, its capacity to endure across the centuries? I wonder what kind of animal is sneaking up on me to get a better listen, or to size me up as a meal. How did this Sanskrit term enter every single language in the world? How do we account for its extraordinary popularity, its capacity to endure across the centuries? There are many possible ways to explain this, but perhaps the primary explanation is just this. Karma is the only concept in the world that addresses human perplexity in the face of suffering. It is the only logic that explains the seeming arbitrariness of the world we live in. How else do we understand the pervasiveness of human anguish? How do we explain the horrors of war and terminal illness, the mute agony on the faces of starving children and traumatized prisoners, the unending catalog of savagery and conflict that has been the human experience for as long as we can remember? Moreover, how do we answer these ancient questions? Why do terrible things happen to good people? Why does fortune so often favor those who seem cruel or unkind or the morally compromised? Why do life circumstances seem so random and capricious? Why does it feel sometimes that God, if one exists, must be playing marbles with the world? Why does the universe so often seem such a hostile, lawless, ungoverned place? Perhaps no other word answers that bewildered human why as well as karma has, or can. For far too long, the world has been either grotesquely oversimplified or needlessly mystified. It is time to explore the concept more deeply. It is time to unpack the most overused, abused, and yet indispensable the most overused, abused, and yet indispensable word in the spiritual vocabulary of the world. It is time to examine how karma is connected to some of the most vital areas of human inquiry: the meaning of life, and above all, how to live it. This book hopes to be both an exploration and a guide, offering the reader keys to living intelligently and joyfully in a challenging world.
And apparently the word world was challenging that day.
In the process, it seeks to restore the word karma to its original transformational potential. It hopes to peel off accretions of misunderstanding and look at karma in all its pristine power and with all its explosive resonance. Throughout the book, I will outline a series of sutras to help you navigate the world of karma. Sutra literally means thread. Nobody wears a necklace for the sake of the thread, but without the thread, there can be no necklace. In the yogic culture, a guru traditionally offered students a spare thread of guidance to navigate their way through life. But this volume hopes to provide readers both guidance and detailed exposition of the subject of karma. It offers both pointers and the big picture. In other words, hopefully both thread and necklace. The book is divided into 3 parts. The first explores karma as a source of entanglement. The second explores the possibilities of freedom from which this entanglement, and the third addresses frequent questions about the subject. Wow. Look at that. This dude, I don't even understand what that is. I've never seen you before. Are you okay? He landed on his back and just kind of knocked himself out. Are you okay? He's not okay. But that was his karma. And mine. Wow. This must have been something about my voice. Or maybe I just helped this one move along in evolution of life. I guess he had some explosive resonance. Womp, womp, womp. Part 1 examines the intricate workings of the karmic mechanism, one that is far more complex than most people realize. Part 2 introduces the notion of karma yoga, ways to address and handle karma, as well as to liberate oneself from it. There is a pragmatic orientation to this section, but yoga is a science that cannot be imparted in its profundity by a book. It requires commitment and training under a spiritual master to be truly transformative. But a book, however, can illuminate and inspire a potential path. And this is what this section hopes to do. A word of caution. You may find as you journey deeper into this book that you encounter various technical terms, but don't lose heart. Karma is not a poetic subject. It is a complex domain, one that involves precise, even clinical concepts and distinctions. Yet neither is karma a sterile theme. It is the basis of human existence. The basis of human existence. A life and death issue, in fact. There can be nothing narrowly academic about such a discussion. Several chapters in parts 1 and 2 are interspersed with sections called sadhanas. In Sanskrit, sadhana means a device or tool. These tools offer you an opportunity to put into practice some of the insights you encounter in each chapter and to test them in the laboratory of your experience. Part 3 is devoted to questions. These are searching, heartfelt questions. Questions that I have been asked in programs and conversations over 3.5 decades. Questions that recur simply because human curiosity about karma is lingering, persistent, frequently urgent. The confusion about this subject is genuine, the longing for clarity equally authentic. Perhaps some of these questions will resonate with you. Others may actually sound like your very own questions. Very few questions, since the dawn of time, have been truly new. An uneducated guru does not come from accumulated scriptural information, but from a moment-to-moment inner knowing. I come, therefore, from a place of direct experience, not second-hand knowledge. My approach to karma, therefore, is not and has never been that of a scholar. When I speak of karma, I am not drawing on doctrine. I am drawing on perception. Conceptual knowledge is the way of the academic. Perceptual knowing is the way of the yogi. The geese and ducks at play as the plains seed the skies and the sun shines on. Part 1 of this book explains karma in all its complexity and multidimensionality. It may seem to deal with pure concepts, sometimes challenging ones, but I want to emphasize that these are not abstruse theories, but rather direct insights into the actual workings of karma. This is a section for the thirsty. It is for those who have nursed questions over the years, questions such as, what is karma? How does it accumulate? What makes the machinery work? When did this whole complicated and crazy cycle begin? It is for those who aren't looking for mere user manuals, but for a glimpse into the very mechanism of the karmic wheel. This section examines how the wheel comes into being and gains momentum. It leads you step by step into the subject of karma, what it is, how it accumulates, the many ways in which human personality is shaped, the incredibly vast reservoir of memory that every individual carries, the role of volition, the subtle ways in which karma adheres to us even when we seek to free ourselves of it. Spiritual seekers usually want to shed their karma, but it is important to remember that karma is not our enemy. It is not necessary to eliminate all karma to lead a life of well-being. Indeed, we would not be able to live without karma, for human life is sustained by it. At the same time, karma can be wounding and deeply entangling if we do not learn how to handle it. The yogic system gives no commandments whatsoever. It leaves you free to choose whether you want to generate positive karma for the future, distance yourself from your karmic package, or dissolve it altogether. Even as this book explores and outlines these various possibilities, the choice is yours. If you find your foot recurrently crushed under a wheel, the problem is not with the wheel. The problem is that you have no clue how to ride it. The aim of this book is not to reinvent the wheel, but to suggest ways to ride it joyfully toward the destination of your choice, secure in the knowledge that you are in control of your own journey.